You've got 72 hours to tear it all down, or we'll do it for you with a bulldozer. That's how my showdown started, with a sheriff standing on my porch, badge gleaming in the morning sun like some Old West movie extra. And me, I'm Ryan Sterling. I was 3 years deep, $127,000 lighter after my divorce, and I'd just finished restoring every last inch of my great-grandfather's 1924 Victorian mansion, blood, sweat, and maybe a few tears soaked into every board. Permits all greenlit, inspections signed, not a single violation. I thought I was finally home. But that's not how the world works, not in Millbrook Heights, not when you're up against someone like Constance Whitmore, the self-declared HOA queen. My eyesore violated the aesthetic, she said, like she owned the sunlight and the birdsong. She sicked the county on me, declared my house a crime against suburbia. 3 years of work, and she wanted it wiped off the map in 3 days. But here's the part that'll make you laugh or spit your coffee out while she was plotting my doom. I found the original 1924 deed up in Grandpa's attic. Turns out this whole chunk of the neighborhood, including half of her precious lot, was carved out with an exemption. No HOA rules could ever touch it. That right there is the crack in the dam. But let me back up, show you how this all spun out. My great-grandfather, Ezekiel Sterling, built this house with his own hands and some railroad money back when men could swing hammers without needing YouTube tutorials. By 2020, the place looked like something out of a horror flick. 4 years empty after Grandpa died, and the lawyers fought over every doorknob while the paint peeled and the porch sagged. I'd drive by after court, fresh off a divorce that split my life in two, watching my family history rot, my ex-wife living in our old suburban ranch. My business gone, $127,000 to my name. That's what 22 years gets you when the lawyers finish feeding. I bought out my sibling's brother, called me nut sister, said midlife crisis. But for me, it was a shot at salvation. That first day, the smell hit me, sawdust, linseed oil, and something old and stubborn family memories baked into the walls. I ripped up shag carpet to find century-old hardwood, scraped off layers of paint, hiding intricate plasterwork, dropped ceilings, all of it. Every morning, the radiators would clank like an old man's joints, waking up, filling the rooms with steam heat, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, the house could breathe again. The boards would creak under my boots, stories underfoot from generations of Sterlings. I researched every detail. When Home Depot paint wouldn't cut it, I tracked down this sage Victorian green, imported at 3 times the price. The city inspector, Randy Kowalski, born and bred in Millbrook Heights, would come by and whistle at my work. Haven't seen this kind of craftsmanship since my grandfather's day, Ryan. This neighborhood had character back before it got carved up and flipped. For about 18 months, life was good. Until Constance Whitmore slithered in white Mercedes, white teeth, white-hot opinions. She'd bounced from house to house, flipping properties and buying herself just enough power to feel invincible. Real estate license in one hand, a builder-grade sense of taste in the other. She waltzed her way to HOA president, promising standards, which in her mind meant scrubbing away anything with history or soul. First time I met her, I was sanding porch spindles older than her Botox. She pulled into my driveway window, down, her voice sweet as aspartame, artificial, all the way down. "You must be the new owner," she said. "Just restoring what my great-grandfather built," I replied, wiping sawdust on my jeans. "All city permits approved." She gave me a smile that could freeze hell in July. "City permits are just the minimum. This is a homeowners association. We have standards to protect everyone's investment." She handed me a stack of HOA rules thick enough to stop a bullet. "Some of your choices need reconsideration." That night I sat in my kitchen under a chandelier. I'd rewired myself reading through 73 pages of nonsense. Translation: "Your house is too beautiful for our beige neighborhood." Sure enough, the violation notice landed at dawn. Non-compliant color scheme, $500 a day in fines until I fixed it. The paint I'd spent months tracking down, apparently a criminal act against suburban sensibilities. I called the HOA, got her voicemail, syrupy, insincere, promising to address concerns in order received. Called her cell, she oozed fake sympathy. "Oh, Ryan, the Architectural Review Committee voted unanimously. These rules protect everyone's values. What committee meeting? I asked. Emergency situations don't allow for lengthy notification periods, she said, as if my paint was more dangerous than a gas leak. But here's something my divorce taught me: documentation beats drama. I drove to City Hall, boots echoing down marble halls that smelled like old coffee and lost hope. Found Randy, the inspector. Need proof my work is up to code. Constance is coming after me. Randy pulled me aside, dropped his voice. Your work belongs in Architectural Digest, but she calls my boss every week, says you're running some illegal racket. She's got photos, but something's off. He showed me photos of my house shadows, all wrong timestamps for Tuesday at 2 p.m. But look at these shadows, Ryan. Sun was gone that day. She's faking evidence. Tuesday was overcast. I pulled up my security cams. There's her Mercedes at 2:47 p.m. Camera glinting as she lurked. But the real smoking gun was at 11:23 p.m. A beat-up sedan, a guy with Pro Gear portable lights recreating her evidence in the dark. I gathered it all: photos, weather records, security footage. I called Jennifer Walsh, Channel 7 News. She'd been hunting for a David versus Goliath story, and I had just the slingshot. She arrived, news crew in tow, smell of coffee and sawdust, cameras rolling. You're alleging falsified evidence, she asked, excitement in her eyes. I laid it out: timestamps, video, proof, side-by-side shots of real versus staged. Then Jennifer called Constance live on air, asked her to comment on the photo manipulation. Constance lasted 12 seconds before swearing a blue streak and slamming the phone. Thursday, the story aired: veteran homeowner battles HOA photo fraud. By Friday, my violation notice vanished, poof, faster than free beer at a job site. I'd won, for a minute. But you humiliate a tyrant and they get creative. Saturday, I'm sipping coffee when another notice lands: excessive noise violation. She claimed I was running a circular saw at 6:30 a.m. Problem is, I was 300 miles away. Ugly crying in an auditorium as my daughter graduated college. I had hotel receipts, witnesses, video, the works. That's when I stopped playing defense. I spent $47 at the courthouse copying every HOA violation in Millbrook Heights for 2 years. Patterns emerged. She targeted the elderly, single moms, working folks. But those driving luxury cars, not a peep. That's when it hit me: selective enforcement. Illegal as all get out. Then a twist. Janet Peterson, a nervous board member, reached out. We met at Starbucks Neutral Ground. Constance owns 4 rentals here through an LLC, she whispered. Never gets violations, but the folks she targets. They're forced to sell cheap, then she flips the properties for profit. She slid me a manila folder: property records, LLC filings. 6 houses bought that way. It wasn't just harassment. It was fraud. Next HOA meeting, I brought the receipts laid out: property records, violation patterns, financials. For 3 years, you've weaponized HOA violations to force sales buying through shell companies for profit. The room erupted. Even the widow who lost her home last year stood up, shaking with rage. Constance went on the attack, filed a personal lawsuit: nuisance abatement, emotional distress, $50,000 in damages. My lawyer, Sarah Cole, wasn't fazed. She filed as herself, not the HOA. That means discovery. She'll have to reveal every bank record, every property deal. That's when Jennifer Walsh came back. Her investigation stretched across 3 neighborhoods, 5 years, same scam every time. Get elected, manufacture violations, force out the weak, buy cheap, flip high. 37 homes, $2 million in profit, mostly targeting people who couldn't fight back. Jennifer found emails, Constance and her partner strategizing. Sterling property is an ideal acquisition. Harass until distressed, sale profit margin, $300,000. I felt sick and angry and suddenly empowered. Then another twist. Randy, the city inspector, called. Ryan, I screwed up. She offered me a bribe to find violations on your house. I recorded her, didn't know what to do, but today she threatened my career if I testify for you. He'd been recording her since that first bribe, dozens of hours of threats and schemes. That was witness intimidation, a felony. Suddenly we had her cold. That night digging in Grandpa's attic, I found the original 1924 railroad easement. Sterling heirs are granted perpetual rights to Corridor 7B, including absolute rights to restore for drainage and structural purposes. The survey map cut a diagonal right through Constance's backyard, her $80,000 pool, the Italian deck, the 3-car garage, all of it built on Sterling land. My land. Sarah's voice shook when I told her. Ryan, this is a legal atomic bomb. She loses everything or she pays to relocate. And she's been harassing you from land she never even owned. For the first time in months, I felt hope. We prepped our case: harassment, discrimination, witness intimidation, easement restoration. Brought in Tom Bradley, a surveyor with NASA-level gear, confirmed her pool deck garage, all 12 feet onto Sterling property. We set up a community coalition. Ethel Kowalski, baked cookies, old-timers, shared stories. Everyone brought their own tale of Constance's reign of terror. Media lined up legal filings thick as phone books. Sunday morning, Constance panicked flyers in every mailbox. Dangerous resident alert, accusing me of substance abuse, violence, defamation in writing with my contractor license number. My phone blew up, friends' news, even her lawyer, James Jameson, calling to negotiate. Aren't you facing disbarment? I asked. Transitional status, he muttered. He knew it was over. Monday night emergency HOA meeting, packed house, neighbors crammed wall to wall. Constance tried to rally the troops, but I stood and dropped the bomb: railroad easement survey property records. Your pool deck and garage are on my land, I said. Silence, then uproar. Board member Janet read the map, face pale. Constance freaked, claimed it was all fake. Want to call the county recorder, I offered. She lashed out, calling me unstable, a threat to the community. Ethel, sweet old Ethel, stood and called her out. You picked the wrong Sterling to mess with. The crowd broke. Her lawyer called license suspended that afternoon. She was alone, cornered, and everyone knew it. Tuesday, just after sunrise, I stood on my porch, coffee steaming, as the surveyors painted orange lines across her lawn. Excavators arrived, engines rumbling like thunder. She ran outside in silk pajamas, screaming, "Stop, you can't do this, Morning Constance. Just restoring the easement, all county permits in order." Deputy Morrison showed up, checked the documents. Ma'am, these are legit. Easement trumps later improvements. Jennifer Walsh's news van pulled up, cameras rolling. Constance flipped from banshee to victim in a blink. He's terrorizing us, she cried. I played Randy's audio, her bribery, her threats, right there on camera. The crowd gasped. Morrison's face went cold. Ma'am, I need you for questioning. Possible witness, intimidation, bribery? She screamed, I'm the HOA president. You have the right to remain silent, Morrison replied. Then Sarah served her harassment, discrimination witness, intimidation, defamation, civil rights violations. Oh. And the FBI had opened a fraud investigation. Her last stand, an excavator biting into her pool house foundation. The crack of concrete echoing down the street sounded like the end of a storm, justice sweet as apple pie. 6 months later, I stood on my finished porch, kids laughing on a new community trail where her pool used to be. She'd sold her house 40% under market, vanished from Millbrook Heights. The FBI's net spread across 3 counties. Our neighborhood, for the first time in years, felt like home again. The new HOA board, led by Ethel, focused on helping, not punishing. My house featured in magazines. Property values up, legal settlements won. More than anything, my kids were proud of me. They'd seen what it means to stand up, to fight for what's right. You know, bullies count on you feeling alone. But when you document everything and build allies, their power crumbles. Sometimes the little guy really does win, takes a while, but when it happens, oh, it's worth every sleepless night. So let me ask you, have you ever had a Constance in your neighborhood? Someone who thinks power gives them the right to rearrange your whole life? I'd love to hear what that looks like where you live. Drop your state, your HOA horror story, your thoughts about justice below. Let's put some sunlight on these folks. Sometimes the good guys actually do win. It just takes a little longer than you hope.
Cảm ơn các bạn bạn đã xem video của mình.